My name is Tyler. I'm 26 years old, and I'm an alcoholic. And if you're listening to this now, that means I actually decided to upload it. I've been kind of going back and forth a lot with what I want to do with that. It's very amateur editing and quality, so you might hear some background noise. My chair's super squeaky. I apologize. But I am making this video because I am just exhausted with how I've been treating myself. And tonight is my first night being sober in a long time. I went on a fishing trip recently, a solo trip, when I got my car back. That was last Sunday. Overnight, didn't drink. I was sober then, but before that, I couldn't even tell you, months. And I'm tired of the way that I'm treating myself, and it's time to really make a change in my life and to take this more seriously. So the reason why I started to do this today was my plan is to go the whole month of August without a single drop, just complete cold turkey. And I want to make this audio entry to track my progress and to actually be able to listen to myself and to see, hopefully hear a change in how I carry myself, because right now I feel very mundane. The interactions I have with people when I'm sober don't feel authentic. I feel like I lack the articulation to be able to carry a conversation that I once was able to. And I really need to take this time to learn who I really am and to hopefully become a better person in the future. Because if you're listening to this and you struggle with this, then you know that it's a disease and that it can ruin relationships, romantically or just friends and family, and that it's a horrible, horrible thing. And I've missed out on holidays with the family, outings with friends. I missed one of my closest friends, his engagement party. I was too drunk the night before that I was so hungover I couldn't get out of bed, and I was just in and out of the bathroom throwing up, and then proceeded to drink that same night. Because at this point, I can tell that my body needs it, and I'm on a habitual routine of, I only drink during the night. There's been a couple occasions where I drink during the day, like on my days off. Usually only if I have something left over from the night before. I'll wake up and I'll drink it, and then I'll sleep until 6 p.m. And then I'll wake up and then I'll go get more. And it's just a horrible way to live. I'm just exhausted. I really am. I'm not gonna go anywhere in my life if I keep doing what I'm doing. If anything, I'll die. I'll die young. And I'll go into. I wrote down a few things that I want to talk about, but I'm really just gonna be rambling and just speaking from my heart, and just kind of, I might jump around to a bunch of different topics, and it'll be super sloppy, I'm sure. But this is mainly for me to just look back at myself and see. I think I'll do this a weekly thing. Just once a week, sit down, talk, evaluate my emotions. And the idea of putting this out there to the world is not to be like, oh, woe is me, like, guys, please, if somebody's listening, please feel bad for me. Like, it's not that. It's, if you are listening to this and you can take something away from my situation and experience and apply it to your life to benefit you, or take some form of advice from me where I know that I can help you without even actually talking to you, just talking about my experience and my story, that is enough for me to be happy with what I'm doing as well as a part of my own healing journey to help you with whatever you're going through. Because I have a long history of depression, anxiety. I've been in a mental hospital once when I was 15. And since then, off and on happy, off and on pills to try to rewire my brain. Just substance abuse. When I first started smoking weed, I was abusing that. I don't smoke anymore. I'll talk about that later. But if I can help you take something away from this and to benefit you, then that helps me. That gives me motivation to continue this, not only for myself but for you. Yeah, it's mainly just I'm so alone with my thoughts all the time that I really want to give myself a voice and a platform, and to just put this out into the void, where I can look back on it later, or somebody stumbles upon it and can be like, oh, what's this? I'll give this a listen, see what this is about, and then to learn something or take away something. That's why I'm doing this. So I'll kind of briefly go over my history with substances and the substance abuse, and kind of how it all started and how I got to the point where I'm sitting in front of my computer talking to myself about this right now. So yeah, growing up, I was a pretty straight edge kid. I never drank or smoked like in my early teens. Never did any of that. Never appealed to me. The first time I ever got drunk was when I was 18 years old, which obviously is still young, but I went to like my first actual party after I graduated high school, and but before the drink, I smoked weed with my buddies. They were all getting into it, so like, oh, Tyler, you gotta try it. I was like, okay, my parents had gone through a divorce. I was kind of in a rough spot with that, and I was just like, fuck it, sure. So I tried it. Would smoke a lot with my friends. Obviously, we drive around, smoke at parks, all that fun stuff, and got drunk for the first time at 18. Whatever, it is what it is. Had a couple coworkers that were older than me that would maybe buy me a 6-pack here and there, but never anything more than that. It was never an issue. But I was a stoner big time. 18, 19, and maybe 20. Mainly just for 2 years though. I would smoke wax. I would take dabs. For those that might not know, it's like the highest form of concentrated THC that you can possibly get. It gets you incredibly high. So I would smoke that pretty much from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed. I did not function a day without it. And I was working at Jimmy John's, so it was a fitting thing for me to be to be doing. Where I would bring like my actual setup to work and take dabs in the parking lot out back in between lulls. I was a manager too when I was really smoking, so sometimes it would just be me at the store. So I would just go out back, smoke, go in, make some sandwiches, bake bread, do inventory, whatever. Super brainless, mundane stuff, and I mean, looking back at it, it was fun, but I was a total zombie. But there was one day that I was home alone. I had just smoked, and then all of a sudden I was having these really I was like hallucinating shadows, and I was seeing like shadows run across like my room or out of the corner of my eye, and I was just like looking everywhere around. I was like, "What the hell is going on?" And then, uh, out of nowhere, just a voice. It was my voice actually that was just really coming down on me, very like negative and critical, and just being a dick, honestly. Like, it was myself, my own voice, just being an asshole to me, saying, your parents aren't proud of you, you're never gonna get anywhere in life, you're fat, you're ugly, you're a piece of shit, nobody loves you, kill yourself, like all these things. And it got to a point where it was so loud in my head that I would just kneel down on the ground. I bent over my bed and I was pulling my hair, screaming and yelling, like, "Shut the fuck up, stop, get out of my head, just stop, stop, stop." And eventually the voices stopped and everything kind of went back to normal. And I sat there, and I can only assume it was either laced, I had some drug induced psychosis, psychotic episode, whatever you want to call it, or like a bad trip with weed. It was a very like psychedelic experience, um, and it was terrifying. And it made me so paranoid that I took everything that I had, that I bought. I had just bought like a bunch too, and I threw it all away immediately, and I just quit that day. From smoking every day from the moment I woke up to when I went to bed, I just quit cold turkey. And that was probably 7 years ago, roughly. Um, and over the 7 years, I've on and off tried it again. Not wax, but I would just have a little bit of flour and I would try to smoke it out of like a pipe, just like a hit or two, just to get like high enough to where I feel good. But the anxiety and the stress and my heart rate would increase so fast where I couldn't relax like I used to be able to. I was thinking in my head that this was going to happen again, and I just couldn't do it. And I haven't smoked. Unfortunately, I ended up picking up drinking. Um, I turned 21 during COVID in April. So that was like pretty much just as everything officially shut down, at least here in Arizona. It's pretty much just like officially when things shut down. And I turned 21 and I was still able to get my hand on booze, but over the course of COVID, because I just turned 21, I was like, it's okay for me to just be home alone, drink all day, every day, play video games, because there's nothing else to do. I can't go outside and socialize. And I have a problem where I just drink too much and I binge and I don't pace myself and I just get blackout. That's my problem, where I get super emotional. I just let everything out because I bottle everything up so much. I gained a lot of weight during COVID because I was drinking beer. I mean, any alcohol that you consume, you're going to gain weight, especially if you're not doing anything active like I was not doing while being in lockdown. Um, Sorry, just pause briefly there, but I really didn't think I had a problem during COVID, even though I did. Um, Cause in my head, I was always just giving myself excuses, like, oh, there's nothing else to do. I just turned 21. Everybody that turns 21, they're gonna they're gonna drink like this. It's not a big deal. It's normal. Now in my family, there's been a history of alcohol abuse with my grandpa on my mom's side, and my dad, but growing up, I never saw him as that. And he would have a six pack when he would play his games, whatever. But I never saw him drunk when I was a kid, as much as I can remember. Um, and you're obviously not seeing that perspective as a child because you don't know what that is, really. So maybe it was that, but I never noticed anything. I never saw him angry or drunk. Or first time I saw him drunk was probably like when I was 15 years old. We were in North Dakota, we were visiting my family up there on his side, and he went out, got shit faced. It was funny to see, but that was like really one of the only times I've ever seen him drunk. Um, yeah, as COVID went on, I was in a relationship at the time. As COVID was ending, we ended up moving in with each other. I was kind of off and on with the booze. I would do pretty good for some time, but then I got into whiskey and started drinking whiskey when I was gaming. Um, Not to the point where I was blacking out or like killing half a bottle or a full bottle, but I was having enough to be pretty drunk pretty regularly. And that relationship fell through. I ended up moving out to Phoenix by myself, and I was bartending out there, living alone. And living alone is great, but also it was very destructive for myself because I had no eyes on me at all. That's when it started to get bad, where I was living in I think it's called a casita or something, I think, but it was like in this dude's backyard. But I had like his backyard. He didn't use it, so he was like, "This is all your area. Do whatever you want. I'm not gonna be back here." I was like, "Oh, that's sweet." I had my dog at the time, Broadway. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. I love him so much. Rest in peace, buddy. But I had my dog with me at the time, so he loved the backyard. But I found myself on more than one occasion waking up next to an empty bottle in the backyard, not knowing how I got there, how much I drank. Um, and I don't drink in the morning like anymore like I was back then because I would have to go to work at 2 p.m. So it'd be like 10 or 11. I'd probably wake up because I work long hours. So then I'd take like a shot of Jameson, or I'd have a shot of Kahlua, which is a coffee liqueur, in my coffee for the morning, and get a little buzz going. Maybe one or two more shots before I head into work so I'm feeling good. And then get home from work and then continue to drink. And it was just an endless cycle. And I had these moments of just off and on agains of like I would be on the booze and then I'd be off for like a few weeks, maybe a few months even. And then I pick it back up a little bit heavier each time. And I noticed that pattern. And I failed to stop multiple times. And I don't want to say I assume I'm going to fail this time, but I'm really hoping that doing these audio entries, giving myself something to do weekly to talk about my feelings and what's going on, to really to just hold myself accountable, because I lack that self-discipline and motivation to do so most of the time, all of the time. So it really got bad when I got into another relationship way too soon from my previous one. Way too soon, not even a year. I don't know what I was fucking thinking. With a girl that I met at my place of work. We were hanging out, everything was great. Only known her for like a week before I asked her to be my girlfriend, and not even like a year into dating, we moved into this really, really nice townhome. It was beautiful. But then I started to realize who she really was. More of her characteristics started to show. I started to learn things about her that I did not like, I did not agree with, that I would think about constantly. Um, it was a two-way street with any relationship. I wasn't the best partner for her. She wasn't the best for me. We ended up not working out, go our separate ways. It is what it is. But I had just felt so trapped and helpless, especially when I would try to go to her with my problems and how she would make me feel, or how I was feeling about something going on in my life or something she said. And to be, it was very narcissistic to, just to flip the script on me 24/7, where I eventually just shut down and I started to cope in an unhealthy way, and that was with alcohol. And it got to a point where, she'd come home from work if I stayed home that day, and I was already super drunk. I'd be passed out on my desk. I don't even remember what I was drinking at the time. I had to have just been drinking hard liquor, or those like wine boxes that are like 3 glasses of wine each. I would just crush those, just get shit faced, pass out on my desk, and she would record me and stuff, and not help my case at all, but just shove it in my face and make me feel terribly guilty, which, I do feel guilty. I turned to coping with in a very, very unhealthy way. And I'm a huge gamer, if you can tell from little bits of that I've talked about already, but I spend most of my time at my desk playing video games. I don't really play with my friends anymore. I have online friends that I play. I play World of Warcraft, and I've embarrassed myself so many times being so drunk that I black out in game, and they have to see that the most because I'm at my desk the most, and that's when I get the most drunk, being alone at my desk. And then I have this online presence that people have reached out and they're concerned about me, my online friends who I've never met in real life. And it just makes me feel so fucking bad about myself and what I'm doing. It got to a point, long story short, relationship ended. We were planning our separate ways in terms of moving, having to break the lease early. And there was one really bad night where she came home after we had broken up. I was really, really drunk, and we exchanged some not so pleasant words to each other. And I was so trapped and exhausted and just at my complete wit's end. I was the most depressed I've ever been in my life, where I said, I can't do this anymore. So I was already blackout drunk. Well, I had blacked out. She came home, woke me up out of it. Adrenaline started to go. So now I was alert and awake, but I was still drunk. And I decided to DoorDash a bottle of Tito's, a full-size one, 750 milliliters. It's standard here, at least in the U.S. Full-size bottle, and a Sprite. And I said, I'm gonna drink all of this and take my my Zoloft, all of it. I had a fresh bottle. I was like, I'm gonna drink all of this. I'm gonna take this, and hopefully I die. And which, in hindsight, it really was just a big cry for help. Like, if I really wanted to end my life, I could have, but I did it in a way that seemed more like it was just a cry for help. And my ex knew that. I told her out loud what I was going to do, and then she ended up leaving the house as like the DoorDash driver got there. I did the exchange, whatever. She left to go wherever. Um, she did text my dad that I was doing what I was doing, and yeah, I ended up drinking the whole thing in literally 30 seconds or less, at least. I just chugged it. It only took breaks when I was feeling like I was going to throw up, chug some Sprite, plug my nose, chug again, and I immediately started to just feel so hammered. Like I knew that I was gonna black out. I knew that this was it. I went to go find my pills, and they weren't there. She had taken them with her. And the last thing I remember from that night was not seeing the pill bottle and just losing it. I started to just break things. I was breaking glass. I was swiping things off the kitchen counter. I was flipping kitchen chairs. I was just screaming and crying and just full of so many bottled up emotions that I finally let loose. Um, and my dad ended up coming over and saving me. And he stayed with me that whole night. He was about to kick down the door. I somehow woke up and let him in. I don't remember doing that, but somehow let him in. And he stayed awake after working a very long shift. He stayed awake for over 24 hours to make sure that I wasn't going to choke on my vomit and die in my sleep. Um, and I feel guilty for having him see that. Making my dad go through that pain to see his child suffering so much. And my dad is actually like I think 5 years sober this year. Um, so even at the time, he was boozing, and he got pretty bad to the point where he quit. And I'm very proud of him for doing that because I saw it more as an adult, and I was worried about him. And I know he was very worried about me, and he still worries, and my mom worries. Um, and yeah, when I woke up that morning, I was still so drunk when I woke up. He tossed me one of my duffel bags. He said, pack up all your whatever clothes, whatever you need, toiletries, whatever you need for the next week. Pack this in a duffel bag, and we're gonna go to Nevada for the 4th of July. Um, my stepmom, her sons, love going out there with dirt bikes and the razors and off-roading, all that fun stuff. So we went out to Nevada, and I had a great time. It was obviously very emotional. There's a lot going on. Everything just came crashing down all at once. Then my dad told me, he's like, look, there's going to be alcohol around. I'm not going to monitor you. Like, obviously, to an extent, he would if I got a little too rowdy, too out of hand. He would, like, yo, dial it back. And luckily, never got to that point. That'd be very embarrassing. But I was experiencing a lot of withdrawals, just waking up in the morning, shaking until I was able to crack open that morning beer. Because that's all it was. Everybody was drinking all day, 24/7. But I was just drinking beer, which obviously is no better, but I was at least not on the hard liquor for some time. That trip was amazing. I had a lot of time to reflect. And when I got back, that's when everything kind of started to set. And I had to really think about what I was going to do going forward. And that was July of last year. I've spent a year of my life since then being unproductive, being an alcoholic. I have blacked out pretty much every single night up until tonight for months. And that's why I need to change the way I am. The other day I didn't have my car, it was in the shop at the time, so the only way for me to go get anything, I have a motorcycle. Probably see where this is going. Where I got on my motorcycle, either on my way home from work, I would grab a pint of vodka, which is 375 milliliters, which is half of a bottle. It seems like a lot less, but it's a half of a full-size bottle every night is a lot. And I've had so many moments where like I should have this sort of wake-up call to be better, to do better. I hide the booze from my mom because she watches me like a hawk. So I've found ways to tiptoe around that, where I spend a longer time in the bathroom, or what I was doing, which was really fucking stupid. And I stopped that after something could have went terribly wrong, is I would drink in my car. And there's 2 times where my mom came out and found me asleep in my car. Just beer bottles all on the floor. Now if a cop found me, I get a DUI. Because the car was running, I was parked. It was just so stupid. So I've had multiple back and forth conversations with not only myself, but with my parents, especially my mom, with living with her and having her see these things firsthand. Even with my sister, talking to her about stuff, and my grandma. I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done. So for roughly a month, maybe a month and a half, I changed everything. I was going to the gym at least 4 times a week. I was trying to go for 5, but at least 4 times a week. Minimum of 3, actually. Minimum 3 times, try to go for 5. Which I was very good about. I was eating better. I found a job, and it's not a good job, but it's a job. And I lost like 25 pounds. I'm a pretty big boy. I'm 6 foot, 205 pounds, but at the time I was like 230 something pounds. I'm still working on it, and the alcohol has not been helping at all. But my job is very physically, requires a lot of physical effort, so it's been good. It's like I'm working out 10 hours a day, but getting paid to do it. But man, it's just so hard to kick. And I've pushed away so many friends that I don't even speak to any of my friends anymore. Because I just want to be alone, and I just want to drink and forget about everything in my life that has led me to this point where I should be facing them head on, and I should be actively looking to make a change in my life. Not just with the drinking, but with me actively doing something to change my life. I don't want to. I've been stuck in this spot for a year now, over a year. I've been in the same spot. Nothing in my life has changed other than the fact that I lost a little bit of weight. And again, for months, I've been blacking out every single day. And I really told myself on the fishing trip, I was like, when I get back, I'm gonna be sober. That was like 26th or 27th of July or something. I don't know when the last Sunday was. I got back from the fishing trip on Monday, and I immediately picked up a half bottle of vodka and drank it. And I was so disappointed in myself. And I said, okay, obviously, I fucked up. I can't change what I just did because I'm now blackout. But what I can do, August is around the corner. Go, okay, August 1st, nothing. No booze for the whole month. Try to just do it for a month. I've done it before. I can do it again. And then have that 1 month hopefully turn into 2 months. Hopefully 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. And to just curb it. And last night, yesterday was my day off. So I was like, well, August 1st, I'm not going to be drinking. So what does that mean I should do today? I should get incredibly fucked up. So I drank I drank half a bottle of vodka from around the afternoon into the evening. Around like 6 o'clock, I would say. I was still pretty drunk. Went and got another half. And then drank that all and then blacked out. And the shitty part is, too, that I don't wake up hungover anymore. I wake up and my body is, like, physically I'm in pain. I have a million things wrong with me, I'm sure. And I have a little headache, but I'm able to get up every day at like 8 a.m. and just get up and go and just do what I gotta do for the day and just make it to clock out where I start to feel shitty and nauseous and like, okay, my body is recognizing this habitual pattern where I need to consume this in order to feel good. And today at work, I listened to this podcast by Huberman Lab, What Alcohol Does to Your Body, Brain, and Health, and it was extremely informative. It wasn't like a sobriety thing where like, oh, you know, this is how you go about being sober, this is like the therapy, rehab, this and that. He was just giving facts about what it does to your body and your mind and your nervous system, and pretty scary facts. I highly recommend checking out that podcast. It was very, very informative, even if you are a very light drinker, like, you know, just for the weekend or whatever. Maybe you drink a day, like a beer after work or something. Just hearing that information really kind of drilled it into my head, like, okay, if I don't stop, I'm going to permanently affect my body and potentially get liver cirrhosis, whatever. That could be fatal. I can permanently affect my brain, and I've already gotten to a point where, because it's habitual and my body recognizes this pattern now that I've been doing to myself, that when I drink, he kind of goes over it in the podcast too, but I can't quote it verbatim because I'll totally get it wrong. But he basically said that when you're drinking and and this is what your body's used to. If you aren't a drinker, um, it could slow you down and depress you, and really not like bring your energy levels down. But if you're relying on it, it's the opposite, where you get a burst of energy and you want to talk to people and you want to do things and you want to, let's plan this trip, let's go here, let's go there. The first couple sips of alcohol and you're just feeling good. You're like, this is what I needed. I feel so much better now. And that's where I'm at right now, is I get that energy and the dopamine and the serotonin. I'm happy and I'm laughing with my mom and my buddies online, or I'm texting my friends, and then that crashes and goes away. And sober me is miserable. I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to be left alone with my thoughts and emotions and feelings, and I have been alone. This is the most that I've talked about it, probably ever. I'm very. I keep to myself a lot, which is not a good thing. I put up boundaries and walls, and I don't let people in. And I do think sitting here and talking by myself is actually beneficial, because I've tried journaling, because that's also a very healthy thing to do, is write down your thoughts and your feelings, and how your day was and what you plan on doing, and what journaling is. I don't have to explain that to you. And I've tried that and it is beneficial, but I spend more time thinking about what I'm going to write next, or like what thought I can put down on paper. So I'm thinking about what I need to think about, instead of just sitting in this chair just rambling about complete nonsense for 42 minutes now. And yeah, I mean, again, if you find this and you listen to it and have gotten this far, I just hope that you know that you can also do it, that we can do it. And if you ever need to reach out and talk to somebody, you reach out to me. We could talk. It could benefit the both of us. Because and the thing is too, I like I'm very grateful for the things that I do have in life. I do have my health. I have my family and my friends. I have a roof over my head. I have a job. I can walk. I realize that there are people that are in worse situations, and I'm grateful to be where I'm at with my life and health. But if I don't change what I'm doing, I will have everything taken away from me, or potentially die, because I've rode my motorcycle drunk to get more alcohol. I could kill myself by doing that. With my car, I have it back. If I go, I could kill myself or another person. It's completely selfish. It's stupid. And I'm tired of doing it. I've broken so many promises to myself and to others, and I've lied about how I'm doing with this. And it's time to face this head on and to talk about it, and to have a voice out there, just thrown into the void, and to just let strangers now know what's going on in my life, and hopefully rebuild and make new connections, because this is not going to be easy. I know I have a support system. I know I have family and friends that care so deeply about me, but I make the mistake of not reaching out, not accepting that help, instead pushing away with a stiff arm. saying, no, I got this, when I don't. I don't know what I'm going to do a week from now. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I don't know how I'm going to react to something that triggers me, or acting on impulse because I lack the self-discipline to prevent myself from making stupid decisions. It's time I learned how to take control of my life and to just rewire and rebuild myself as a human being, as a sober human, where I can be healthy and happy the way that I am and not have to rely on that bottle of vodka every night. And, you know, obviously not being on medication right now for my depression, anxiety, and potentially I'm bipolar. I never got that completely diagnosed, but there was some testing that my doctor recommended that I go do for that, which I never did. And then I don't have insurance anymore because the government decides that when you're 26 years old, you don't get that privilege anymore. I was very lucky to have that, and I never really took advantage of it, and I regret it. If you have insurance, and you know, on your family's insurance, get everything you can before you turn 26, because you will regret it. I promise you. And I honestly, I drink because I just want to numb everything. I don't want to think about anything. I'm okay. Like, a part of me is okay. I'm just okay being like this forever because I get to play my video games and to drink, and I can still go to work and be fine. When in reality, I have ambitions to save money and to move to Seattle and to potentially start, you know, going back to school and living in a place where I want to live, like, with the environment being good around me, because I don't like the desert in Arizona. It gets too fucking hot. The sunsets are beautiful, sure, but I hate the desert. It's fine up north because it's all pine trees and it's very beautiful, but that's like 2-3 hours away. I don't want to have to drive up there just to be happy. I want to live in an environment that I can thrive in. Except I'm spending all my money on booze, so I'm not saving. Not saving a little bit, but I can definitely budget and be way better. Anyway, I'm just rambling now about that. But yeah, I mean, now you know a little bit about me and my life and how I got to this point. There's a lot of in between that I didn't discuss, but I think I'll do this once a week. I think next Wednesday I'll do it. This is a Friday today, August 1st. I think I'll do it on Wednesday, and then keep that like just a Wednesday thing, middle of the week. Maybe, I don't know, or Monday. I don't fucking know. I have so much on my plate right now, just trying to stay sober, that it's a good distraction though, to be like thinking about this, and even sit down and write down ideas, things to talk about and to confront with myself, or if potentially there are listeners to this that want to have a discussion, I can have calls with people and we can talk about your journey, or if you have questions about me, and or whatever it is. I want this to be a good outlet for myself and for you as well. That's the whole purpose of this. And hopefully it'll be a good outcome where I can thrive and I can be better. And it's just important that I'm honest and transparent with myself and with others around me, instead of lying and covering up what I'm doing, putting the vodka in the water bottle so I can drink at my desk, and it's not suspicious because I don't have, a bottle of Smirnoff right there. It's a water bottle. It's just water. Put a little electrolyte packet in there. Now it's helping me. It's healthy. And then hiding the booze bottles so that nothing is suspicious. And I'm tired of tiptoeing around. I'm tired of lying. I pride myself on my honesty, and I've just been lying to myself and to my loved ones. And it's time to turn a new leaf and to really move forward by being the best, healthiest version of myself that I possibly can be. So, I think that's enough rambling for now. If you enjoyed this, if anybody has listened to this and is listening this far, first of all, I decided to upload it, which is cool. I think I'm going to, but I still don't really know. But I hope that there's something that you can take away from this to benefit your life. Because you don't have to do this alone. Even though you might be surrounded by people that you love and it feels lonely. I get that. It feels lonely. And maybe it takes a stranger on the internet that's putting his story out there to be like, there are people out there in these situations, maybe similar to yours. I don't know. Everybody's so unique and different that everybody is just a part of a very long and strange journey that we can get through together, hopefully. But yeah, I think that's enough nonsense from me. I'll check back in a week and, listen to this and maybe talk about certain topics that I talked about now. Kind of go back to what I was feeling then. I wanted to do this with no idea in mind of what I was going to talk about, really, because I jotted a few things down, sure, but I wanted it to be day one, night one, and just talk about the start of this, and hopefully some good will come out of it and I can do it. Thank you for listening, and please take care of yourself. Reach out to either me or a loved one, family, friends, even a coworker that you might trust. You are loved, and you deserve to be loved. Thank you again. Bye.